What does it mean to be an American? Some people will define it as the right to vote and freedom of speech, while others will define it as the opportunity to be free and proud of where they live. Throughout the year in Mr. Boyle's American History class, we have learned about many important people that have helped to shape our lives today. It ranges from people who have had small impacts to people who have changed the world forever. We have studied the founding of America through the American Revolution, the Constitution, the division of nation through the Civil War, the growth of imperialism, and finally its growth during the Industrial Revolution. During the year in Mr. Boyle's class, we have been surrounded by posters referencing civic values. These are values that we learn to respect as citizens, such as honor, initiative, respect, moderation, justice, courage, perseverance, vigilance, resourcefulness, and responsibility. I believe that the most important civic value that correlates with what it means to be an American is courage. Courage is defined as the strength in the face of pain or grief. I believe that almost all important figures in history are courageous in one way or another because it must have took some sort of courage to do what they did to be remembered. In the first quarter, we learned about George Washington, the first President of the United States of America. Washington was born February 22, 1732. During his life, and mostly during his presidency, he did many things that could be defined as courageous. Growing up, he lived on the plantation on Pope's Creek in Virginia with his family. This helped him learn hard work and efficiency, especially after his mother died. He had to supply the funds to keep his family afloat. In the early 1750s, France and Britain were at peace. However, the French had begun to occupy most of the Ohio Valley. The argument was between where the border of the lands lie, and they often had border disputes. Due to Washington's natural leadership skills and obvious courage, he was appointed major in the Virginia militia. He was sent to Fort Le Boeuf to tell the French to remove themselves from Britain's land. When the French refused, Washington came back later and attacked a French post at Fort Duquesne, killing their commander. This started the French and Indian War. Right here is a prime example of Washington's courage. Anyone who is willing to go into battle and risk their life for a cause deserves a trophy for their courage and bravery. After this, the French counterattacked and Washington had to back down, even though he had to surrender the House of Burgesses, which was impressed with his actions, and he was given the honorary rank of colonel and joined the British Army. Not only did he already participate in one battle, but he decided to go into another. This shows extreme courage and how he was willing to go to no end to fight for what he believed in. During this battle, Washington fought courageously and escaped with 4 bullet holes in his cloak and 2 horses shot from under him. If it was me, after that almost deadly experience, I definitely would have stopped participating in these battles, yet Washington did not. He made commander of all Virginia troops at age 23, and after being sent home with dysentery, he went back to the battle. He dedicated his whole life to fighting for what he believed in. Isn't that courageous? I would have quit after the first battle when I almost died, never mind after getting shot at. Yet Washington did not quit, and he used his courage to climb the ranks and later become elected into the Virginia House of Burgesses. In the second quarter, we learned about Abraham Lincoln, who was born February 12, 1809 in Kentucky. He originally became an attorney, but later ran for the United States House of Representatives and won. While in term, he was known in Washington for his opposition to the Mexican War, and more important, slavery. This was already a courageous move from Lincoln. Slavery had always been a touchy subject, and the fact that he was willing to go against other people and stand as a public figure opposing slavery was very courageous. Abraham Lincoln became the 16th President of the United States in 1861. During his time, many Southern states feared Republican control in the government, so they seceded from the Union. Lincoln now faced one of the biggest internal crises to date. Despite the enormous pressures, battlefield setbacks, opposing cabinet members, and assassination threats, Lincoln stuck with this pro-Union policy for the entirety of the Civil War. His courage already shows through as he stuck with the plan he believed in and not the plan others was telling him to do. He even followed through with them after multiple assassination threats. Then, on January 1, 1863, the world was changed forever. Lincoln put into effect the Emancipation Proclamation. This declared all slaves free in all of the areas the Confederacy wasn't under control of the Union. After his assassination, the 13th Amendment also went into effect, which officially freed all slaves, but while he was alive, he did support this amendment. I think it takes great courage to stand up for what you believe in, especially when people are tearing you down for it. The idea of no more slavery was foreign and scary to many people, and many people opposed it, yet Lincoln fought for what he believed in just like Washington did and succeeded. In the third quarter, we learned about Harriet Beecher Stowe, who was born June 14, 1811 in Litchfield, Connecticut. She grew up learning how to argue as her family took in boarders from Tappan Reeves Law School. She began her education at Sarah Pierce's Academy, and she was also courageous as she encouraged young girls to get educated, an idea that was not widely accepted back then. Stowe then became a student and later a teacher at the Hartford Female Seminary, and when she was there, she began to practice composing essays and working on her writing skills. She achieved national fame for her book on anti-slavery called Uncle Tom's Cabin. You guys have all probably heard of it. Her book helped to start a revolution. It helped people to understand and relate to a slave like they never have before. She made slaves human and not just a thing that works for you. She was well known and respected in the North but hated in the South. In fact, her book was banned in the South. During that time period, speaking out against slavery was a big deal, never mind the fact that she was a woman. Along her way, I have no doubt that she was looked down upon because she was a woman, but she kept going. She used all of her courage to fight once again for what she believed in, and she published a book about it. A book she had no idea how it would be perceived if people would like it or not. Harriet Beecher Stowe helped to publicize a growing problem in the United States and never let anyone get in her way. Last but not least, in the fourth quarter we learned about Theodore Roosevelt. He was born on October 27, 1858, in New York as one of 4 children. He was a sickly kid who was asthmatic, nearsighted, and homeschooled. He was looked down upon from his father, who expected more from him as he was a sickly young boy. He was known as a savage fighter who showed no mercy towards his opponents, but these characteristics helped him to win many wars that forever changed the United States. During his lifetime, he served as the 26th President of the United States and was one of the most memorable presidents we have ever had. I believe that each and every one of our presidents were courageous in some way because it takes some type of courage to step up and try to win other votes, to put yourself out there, knowing there will be people who hate you. Yes, Teddy Roosevelt is definitely one of our most controversial presidents because he supported imperialism and he was a savage fighter, but he did contribute to many great things in the United States. He helped to develop the Square Deal. He helped to pass the Meat Inspection Pact. He also worked to help the middle class and many more things on top of those. Yes, he was controversial, and yes, he was harsh when it came to fighting, but you have to admit, even when many people didn't like him, he still had the courage to fight for what he believed in and stand up for himself in face of other people who tried to put him down. What does it mean to be an American? Does it mean being prideful in where you live and standing behind our Constitution? Or is it simply just living in America? Maybe it's a mix of everything. Maybe being an American means respecting the civic values like courage and justice. You'll have to decide that for yourself. But what I know is that almost all of the influential people in the world have some sort of courage, and so do you. A courage that some of us could only dream of. Standing up for what you believe in when we know there will be people putting us down. Publicizing the way we feel even though you know thousands will disapprove. What does it mean to be an American? Freedom? Freedom to do or say anything we want without persecution? And is it courage that brings us to act on our freedom? What do you think it means to be an American?